ranking, let's go into a few more of the principles that we want to talk about. So getting back up here to the business plan, the most important thing that we need to understand is how to actually break down ranking into components that we can manage. So the first attribute that we need to take a look, we need to analyze your property and understand a few things. The most misunderstood aspect of property management, asset management, is that most owners don't really know the product they're selling. What you think you might be selling is the property, but what actually is on the market is actually an experience bounded by a stay. So an experience bounded by a stay is that on the day-to-day, your guests will be buying blocks of time. And that time is essentially in a location and enclosed in the design of your property, both of which have enormous influence on the success of your return on investment. We have no control over that. That has been your decision to purchase a location, your decision on putting together the design. I guess you could watch our Bali business review updates if you haven't built anything, but by this time, normally when an owner has come to us, then we are looking at fixed location, fixed design. But what should we understand about location? What should we understand about design? Well, here are some tools that we use to understand. The tool that you see here is an advanced Bukit Vista data visualization tool. This spatial map allows us to see the relative importance and also the popularity at each location, given the number of reviews that it has gotten to. Now, at a top level, basically, the more tall you see a stack, like this one over here, the more reviews that is accumulated. And also the shorter the stack, the fewer reviews that is accumulated. The more green the stack, the more quality reviews have accumulated. The more red the stack, the fewer good reviews is accumulated. All search platforms like Airbnb demonstrated here do not reward bad reviews. So you will never see very tall red bars, barring this probably one is an exception. Most highly ranked properties will need to get consistently high 5-star reviews. But based on this data, what we can do is we can dive inside and we can see a few properties and the number of reviews that are associated with those properties. For example, this one that I just clicked on has 120 reviews and has a moderate height. Those that have extremely tall heights, such as, let's say this one, this is a Bukit Vista managed property near Uluwatu. It's extremely tall and has 507 reviews at a 4.67 score. So pretty green, but very tall. All right. So zooming out from this, what the data science and business intelligence team at Vista can do is they can gauge with stunning precision the exact popularity of your location, whether it's Ubud, Canggu, Seminyak, or over here in this part of Bali, which I'm not too sure, or even in Nusa Penida. We can gauge the popular location, whether it's unpopular, let's say here in Kuta, or if it's extremely popular, like let's say this particular angle looking at across Canggu, or this particularly really dense and green area here in Ubud. It's all data driven. It's based on facts, not on myth, not on hypothesis, not on rumors you're hearing from drivers. This is fact-based, data-driven intelligence. All right, so that gets us a rating and understanding about the location, which is one component of the overall picture. What about the design? Well, the design, we have references, and this is how we evaluate design. Design ultimately is determined by the marketplace. How often and at what price do people who are booking properties give in terms of what they offer your property? So what we can do is we can chart historically all the properties that, let's say, have had the most reviews under one count. This will be the red, and we can sort this again by the reviews, and we can apply the changes. So we can understand really well-designed properties by this graph here in the red, which shows the lineup of how many reviews a certain property has gotten. Let's take, for example, this one. This is called the Tuban Lantang Cottage. We will be able to access it using the table view here. Tuban Lantang over here, as you can see, corresponding to A3, but a staggering last recorded at 892 reviews. Let's open the link and see what's underneath. Move this aside, open the link, and this is an example of one of the most well-designed properties. It is sitting in Nusa Penida. It has this gorgeous integration here between this edge of the infinity pool, looking out across a bay with volcanoes on the horizon. It's got this amazing shaped infinity edge pool, and also it has a very natural design that's respectable. Think of local architectural principles. It doesn't have to be luxurious, as you can see. It does get voted over and over again, and that's why it's accumulated so many reviews. So this is a benchmark for what a really well-designed property should look like. And we also have a benchmark price of around $73 for such a property. Okay, we can look at property design based on this dimension on reviews, but we can also look at rate. Rates are actually the prices, the average prices sold per night. We only look at actualized rates. We do not look at rational rates. I'll quickly distinguish what that means. Actualized rate means that the rate has been sold more than a few hundred times. So that means it's true, it's real. If a rate has not been sold more than, let's say, a few times, let's say 50 is probably the cutoff for a minimum entry level for a stable price. If it's been sold fewer than 50 times, it probably isn't stable. It hasn't really developed a good product market fit around that price yet. And you have to remember, once again, back to the first principles again, you're selling a product of time. Not all blocks of time are going to be the same, even if your property is the same. So you do have to respect that peak season and low season prices might change. Gap nights, which are the nights left over after major bookings have already happened, they're the remainders will change. And close to expired nights will also have different values as well. This is just fundamental revenue management principle that we apply in dynamic pricing. And we're saying this upfront so that you have a good idea of what we're about. All right, so now that we go into a different dimension, we can take a look at the rates of highly ranked properties and see how they actually look. Okay, so we take a look, and the best performing property in all of Airbnb happens to be a Bukit Vista property. And how did we get to this position? We got to this position by working hard for over 12 years and consistently selling what is already a very, very good beachside product, infinity edge pool, clean location. That's what's attained the over 325 reviews at a pretty substantial rate. So that's a good sign. Okay. So ranking and rate and reviews all combine together to form this evaluation. So you can now see the Bukit Vista methodology and how we do design, and you can see the Bukit Vista methodology on how we grade location. So these then sum up together to create a understanding of your property attribute. Now, the guest experience management is an entirely deep dive, which I will go into in another part 3 now. We use automated AI-driven, a self-improving, self-learning AI that gets better over time, understands guest needs better, and doesn't require, let's say, the fallacy or the interruptions or the conditions restricted by human knowledge and human intelligence. This AI has been in place for over 2 years. It works perfectly for discussions with most of our guests. On occasion, there will be what we call a knowledge frontier crossed, which is a new piece of knowledge that we had not anticipated. We simply feed that back into the AI, and it understands from that point on how to deal with that particular circumstance. If you want to watch more, I'll go into part 3, and we'll talk about how AI transforms the way that we can achieve superior ranking here at Bukit Vista using technology not found in any other property or asset management company